I remember one time working with Chuck Palumbo. We were in Baltimore, and I forgot what he did, but he hit me with. And Chuck Palumbo was a huge guy. You don't understand how big Chuck Palumbo actually was in person. Huge guy, and he hit me with some kind of move I forgot, and he hooked it tight like it was a finish. And this was around the time Chuck Palumbo was getting a little bit of a push, and he hooked it for the finish, and I kicked out, and you heard a huge pop from the crowd. And Chuck leaned in and he goes, "We got these motherfuckers, we got them." And that's what you want. You want that reaction from the crowd to let you know, okay, this is what we're doing, here's where we're going. So to summarize, a lot of the lesser experienced talent want to lay everything out from A to Z. And I think that comes with security, knowing what's coming next. But as you get more experience and as you get more acquainted with your craft and working on live television, live pay-per-views, you learn that you have to be fluid. And if you got a whole bunch of stuff laid out, it sometimes takes away from being in the moment. Because sometimes a rope breaks. Especially when you're on, lower indie shows and whatnot, the rope breaks. The match is still going, or sometimes you might get hurt. But if you're not injured to the point that you can't go on, you're like, oh, man, I tweaked my knee. Hey, man, take it easy. I hurt my knee. I've done that before where my knee was hurt, but I finished the match. But I'm just working like, okay, now, hey, my knee's banged up. But we make that part of the story. So earlier, lesser experienced men and women in wrestling will want to lay everything out step by step. But with experience, you get more and more away from that, because the art of storytelling is often combined with listening to the audience, knowing your audience, and improv. That's why when people say, oh, that stuff you do is choreographed? Nothing I do is choreographed. It's predetermined. We know who's going to win and lose, but a lot of the stuff we do out there, like I said, well, I'll have an outline. We'll talk about some of the stuff, but a lot of that, the way I like to do it, is in real time, working on the fly.
So what goes into cutting a great promo, and how much freedom does a wrestler have versus reading a script?
Dwayne Swayze, you ask excellent question. Shout out to the almighty Iron Sheik. And that's actually, since I brought up Iron Sheik, every now and again I go down the YouTube rabbit hole and I watch Iron Sheik promos. And they were the most incoherent,
He loves the MVP.
Oh, yeah. Me and Sheiky Baby were close, but he never said MVP. I was PVM, MVP. He could never get MVP. But I was Gimmick Man. Gimmick Man. I'll have to tell that story one day how I got that nickname. But his promos were always awesome, even though they were disjointed and discombobulated, just because of his conviction and the way he would deliver it. I offer you Exhibit A. To me, the worst promo content, but one of the most captivating promos, Ultimate Warrior. Nobody knew what the fuck he was talking about, and the gods of the thunder and the rain and the starship and nobody knew what he was talking. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was probably coked out of his mind, But the conviction and the passion and the intensity.
What he was saying.
And because he believed it, you believed it too, Some of my all-time favorite promos came from the Macho Man.
Right. You gotta hit us with it.
I wish I had a good Macho Man, but just he would, the cream always rises to the top. Yeah. And he had the little creamer that he brought from catering, that he brought it out, one of my favorites was when he won the Intercontinental title, and it was talking about the champion's prerogative to change his mind. And he's holding the Intercontinental title, and he says, Elizabeth, hold my championship title. And she reaches out and he goes, nope, I changed my mind. I implore you to go to YouTube and just for 20, 30 minutes, just go watch Macho Man promos. He's one of my all-time favorite promos. But I think what makes a promo great is conviction, the delivery of it. Because as I said, you can have, and you've had throughout the years, guys who just went talking absolute gibberish, but it sounded good.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about, but man, you know, I remember the first time I ever saw Chono, one of my all-time favorites, Chono Masahiro. He was cutting a promo in Japanese, and there was just a little bit of English in there. And I don't know what he was talking about, but the way, and I don't speak fluent Japanese, but just, I remember he was like, he was saying, just with that gruff, gravelly voice, and he was like, NWA, where you at? Are you fucked up now, Muto? Oh yeah, what you do now, Muto? And he was just speaking Japanese. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I was invested. Yo, I'm watching. At that point, I did not, but I understood. You fucked up now.